Story is king. A fancy camera doesn't equal a great film. I don't care what you shot it on if the story sucks. I certainly agree with these statements, but I strongly disagree with the following. The camera doesn't matter. The camera is less than 5% of a movie. There is no point in getting a fancy camera, just shoot on what you have. The camera isn't important. Cameras are the film. What you shoot on does matter. Let me explain myself. Welcome to the Film Look. This episode of the Film Look is brought to you by PremiumBeat.com. Find exclusive production music for your next film. The camera is the most important tool you have to create a film. Without a camera, you have radio. Without camera or sound, you have a book. A cheap, easy to use camera does 90% of what a more expensive one does, but it does have its limitations. As you grow as a filmmaker, you don't want to have to be fighting the camera to make the film you need to make. You want to be able to harness the tools that camera is giving you. Our season 3 film, Keep the Change, was shot all at night. We upgraded from a Canon T3i to a Sony a7S so we could harness its low light capabilities and create the film without having to tug back at the lack of light. Could we have made Keep the Change on a T3i? No. We could have made a version of Keep the Change, but it wouldn't have been the same film. Does an expert carpenter solely rely on his saw? No, of course not. The saw might be the tool he uses most, but he also has very specific tools for certain jobs. He doesn't want to be fighting with his tools when he creates a masterpiece. He wants to have the tools he needs on hand so he can create his masterpiece without compromise. A Hollywood camera is basically the same thing. It's the saw, but it's also the chisel, and the plane, and the hammer, the square, the vise, and the tape measure all in one. A Hollywood production team use the big, beefy, expensive cameras because they need the perfect tool for the job. They don't have the time to fight with their tools. They don't have time for unreliable equipment. For them, time is money. Every mistake they make increases shooting time. So what costs more, getting a $100,000 camera compared to a $1,000 camera, or having to pay Robert Downey Jr. another $250,000 for the extra day of shooting because your shot was out of focus, because you decided to shoot on a Canon 5D Mark II? You know, because the camera doesn't matter. And it works even cheaper shooting with two $100,000 cameras. You can cover 2 different angles in a scene and you've pretty much split the shooting day in half. Still cheaper than getting Iron Man back onto the set. Okay, so I am comparing extremes here, but it is something we can consider. As indie filmmakers, we can't buy a second camera or a super expensive camera, but we can make choices to purchase or rent something which will speed up and aid production, and help tell the story which you need to tell. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loathe the sentence, "Oh, your film looks awesome, you must have a really good camera." That's like telling Gordon Ramsay that his food tastes great because his oven is really expensive. So as indie and amateur filmmakers, it's our job to know the limitations of the tools we have available and to utilize them. Challenge yourself, of course. Embrace the flaws, embrace that indie look. Limitation drives creativity after all. But don't say the camera doesn't matter, because it does. It's all about the right tool for the right job. So we'd like to give a shout out to the sponsors of this week's video, PremiumBeat.com. Next time you need production music for your film, go check them out. They're a great source of high quality, royalty-free tracks. Links in the description below. If you want to share your views on this topic, please leave a comment down below. It's quite a controversial one, but let's all just be kind to each other. If you want to check out our film Keep the Change, which I spoke about in this episode, it's up on screen now and it's also in the description. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week.